One of the most iconic places to visit in old school RuneScape is the wilderness, known for having the most player versus player interactions. For some people, this is where it all started, and for others, they avoid it at all costs. RuneScape's new competitor, Brighter Shores, is on the horizon, set to make a statement and prove themselves in the MMORPG genre. Founded by the same creators of RuneScape, they want to do it again, and this time they want to do it right. But as far as we know, we have not heard the Goer brothers address anything about player versus player interactions in Brighter Shores. Nothing at all.
You're here because you got nothing. You got nothing in court, you don't got the bookkeeper, you got nothing!
This has led to people questioning themselves about whether they are the target audience for the game or not. And yes, I know, before you tell me, well, most MMORPGs are PvE focused anyways, or that PvP is just a small fraction of the player base, just hold that thought for a minute, will you? We know that Brighter Shores is going to have a bunch of professions and skills, similar to what old school RuneScape already has. We know that the game is going to be instance-based, where you traverse from one room to another, and we know that the game is going to have a class-based system, where classes like Cryonites, Guardians, and Hammer Mages will be the three main primary classes you get to choose from. So by listing these three things directly, we can already assume that any resemblance of player versus player interaction can be done, if it can be done for mobs and other NPCs. But the question I would like to ask is, should you have PvP in Brighter Shores? The short answer,
yes, of course, sir.
The long answer is, still yes. I cannot think of a single MMORPG that doesn't have any player versus player activity at all. Every single one of them has some form of PvP interaction. Sure, you can argue and say that most of them are not dependent on PvP, or that most players don't play that aspect of the game, but if you were to remove PvP entirely from old school RuneScape, I guarantee you that a big fraction of the player base would have stopped playing.
You're not that guy, pal, trust me. You're not that guy.
A lot of people like to think that PvP doesn't have a place in a game, and that it is not necessarily the focus of a game. But imagine yourself going into a pizza place, expecting to order a pepperoni, but they refuse to serve that to you. Just as pepperoni attracts a lot of pizza lovers, PvP also brings excitement and thrill to many players, thus missing out on attracting more customers. It would be a horrible business decision to not include PvP in your game. Considering that the game will also be released in episodes, you would think that having something else to do while waiting for new content to be released would be a smart idea. A lot of players always crave for new content, and having PvP alongside regular content can still allow people to enjoy one aspect of the game, while you should absolutely be able to play solo and engage in solo content without being forced into group activities. Removing PvP also removes player interactions, which are essential to a massively multiplayer online game. Now, I don't think most people are against PvP, even if you happen to find outliers in the community. What I believe is that most people don't like the idea of forced PvP interaction, because simply forcing players to have to engage in combat and risk possible items and gear may not be an enjoyable experience, especially when you intended to do something else in the first place. If it's going to be implemented in Brighter Shores, it has to be similar to what old school RuneScape offers with the wilderness. It would have to be integrated seamlessly into the open world experience, where you don't ever have to visit these zones unless you want to. For Brighter Shores, I could absolutely see PvP enabled rooms, or perhaps a larger area of PvP. You would need to have somewhat of a high risk and high reward area to incentivize people to do PvP, and to eventually form a community where a fraction of the player base now enjoys that content. And now when you have built somewhat of a player base that enjoys PvP content, you now have people also making PvP videos about it, just like they did for old school RuneScape back in the days, or any other game for that matter.
Yes! Hell yeah!
Since the Goer brothers are the original founders of RuneScape, you would expect them to have great ideas for PvP in their pockets, considering how much people have enjoyed doing PvP in RuneScape over the years. With something similar like the wilderness, you would have a great foundation for PvP, simply because it wouldn't force you to enter the wilderness, and if you wanted to engage in that content, it would allow you to be creative and play the way you want to play. The only negative thing that I can think of in terms of PvP in Brighter Shores is the fact that the game is going to be instance-based, since it would not allow many players to be in the same layer of the room. This would probably not create the desired effect that many people want for larger scale battles, unless they allow a lot of players in one layer of the room, or if the area is much larger than we have seen so far. But yeah, that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think of this. Should PvP exist in Brighter Shores? And if so, how would that look like? If not, feel free to elaborate why. Also, make sure to like the video if you liked it, as it really supports the channel. And if you want to see similar content for Brighter Shores, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. Have a good day, folks.